Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan, Tyler, Jack Rourke, Nick Padone. And we are joined today again by a reoccurring guest, Max Loeb. Go give him a follow at Loeb's Leads. It is. What is today, guys? I don't even know. Today is Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. Yep. Free agency. Somehow it hasn't even started yet. It hasn't even started yet, guys. It starts at 4 p.m. today. The legal tampering period began on Monday. I believe it was noon. So much has happened, trying to keep up with every single move, every single transaction, contract restructures the Chiefs this morning with Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones. It has been an absolute whirlwind, but it's one of the funnest things to ever keep up with. So many new faces in so many new places. Max, how you doing today? How are you trying to keep up with every single move that we got going on?
It's hard. Twitter notifications, that's pretty much it. I'm sure you guys saw on Monday, I believe, it was down for like
that was crazy.
Dude.
We talk about that.
It was ridiculous. Like I was refreshing Instagram Threads. Like I haven't used that app in months. Like it was ridiculous.
Is that still a thing? Threads?
It is still a thing. It is still a thing. But no, it's been
especially
crazy,
on the West Coast.
Hectic. But it's been a lot of fun.
Sometimes throughout these shows, Jack just throws like inside shade that not everybody knows about, and he does it so subtly. When it happens, you just gotta giggle. Elon never again. Like whenever we have a big trade deadline, whether it be in the NBA, MLB, NFL free, we gotta have the Bird app up and running, or X, or whatever we're calling it now. We can't have that mishap ever happen again.
All right, well, we start with our Cleveland Browns here. Not crazy many moves.
The guy with the stick.
Do something.
Hey,
at least we're not Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. Yeah. But we signed offensive tackle Cornelius Lucas to a 2-year deal worth $10 million. We brought back Devin Bush on a 1-year, $3.25 million deal, which I thought was a good move. I thought last year Devin Bush was one of the few bright spots on that Browns defense. You signed Joe Tyron Shoyinka. Hopefully I pronounced it right. A former first-round pick from the Buccaneers, another linebacker there. Notable unrestricted free agents for the Cleveland Browns still. You got Deonta Foreman, Elijah Moore, Nick Chubb, Jed Wills, no thanks, and Jameis Winston. Quiet so far for the Browns. Obviously, Kenny Pickett was probably the most notable because it's a quarterback. Won't be the most impactful. How you guys feel about the moves that the Browns have made thus far?
It's kind of hard to do right now. I think you're still kind of waiting to figure out who that quarterback is going to be. You're waiting to see, is Kirk going to get cut? Are you going to have to go out and get one of the other vets? You're just going to wait for the draft? Whatever it is, they're probably still figuring out their plan exactly right now of who QB1 is going to be next year. And I think you'll probably see it unfold if Kirk gets cut or whatever happens, that once we see how much money's left over, that's when you go out and get who you want out of those guys that are UFAs.
Max, we haven't got your thoughts yet. I should have opened with this. Kenny Pickett, a Cleveland Brown. What do you make of it?
Honestly, I don't mind it. Like I love DTR, but the play dipped, which is really weird. Like when you have a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback, you expect the play to improve as time goes on. But his rookie year was his best, and it dipped last year, which is weird. So like there were, I think, 18 teams in the NFL last year that had to use multiple quarterbacks at some point. Kenny Pickett is just an upgrade over DTR. Sucks you got to get rid of a day 3 pick to upgrade, but that's the reality of it. And I just think the Browns, legitimately, I think they know they've lost out on Rodgers and Russ. I think they're kind of going back and forth on what they do with the number 2 overall pick still. I think they're just in a world where they don't know what the quarterback room is going to look like, so they're trying to turn every stone over to potentially get the best backup, third string, whatever they want. Ideally, Kenny Pickett's your third string quarterback. Let's make that clear. But, like, that's the reality. I like the move, and there were some good things. I mean, he's 15-10 as a starter, I believe. There are some good things that he's shown, but I mean, it was if they're doing that for their backup quarterback, I think there's an issue.
How crazy is it to say that I'm not going to say this is going to happen, but I'm not totally ruling it out. Kenny Pickett, there's clearly going to be a quarterback battle. I don't care what you say. You're going to draft a rookie, and you're going to bring in what, a Kirk Cousins? It'll probably go to Kirk Cousins. I've seen crazier things happen in camps and battles with could Kenny Pickett. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but listen, you're just a couple years removed from being drafted 20th overall. You were in Pittsburgh, didn't have a great offense there to support him, and then you go to Philadelphia, you didn't really have a chance there. I've seen crazier things happen. Like, how out of the blue or how crazy would it be to say that Kenny Pickett could possibly start some games for our Cleveland Browns?
I mean, and let's be real, the whole reason why Kenny Pickett is here in the first place is because he's a serviceable enough quarterback on a $2 million deal. When you still owe Deshaun Watson $46 million to just sit home, you got to get creative and do some pretty wonky things. So if that's Kenny Pickett competing for a training camp battle, you know, with Kirk Cousins and whatever rookie quarterback they draft, yeah, crazier things have happened. I don't put anything past this right now, and I think it's kind of funny that right now we feel like we're maybe all in a little bit of a holding pattern to wait and see what happens with Kirk Cousins. It's like this is what the Browns have devolved into in 2025 is we're actively hoping that another player gets cut because he was so bad last year and he makes so much money that they don't even want to pay him and keep him around. We're hoping for that guy. That guy's our number one option.
You know, I mentioned the unrestricted free agents that the Browns still have: Deonta Foreman, Elijah Moore, Nick Chubb, Jed Wills, Jameis Winston, amongst others. And it made me so sad. I looked at the free agency trackers. They have the big boards of all the available free agents, and I think Nick Chubb was ranked 101. And it's such a sad state to see how far he's fallen because of that injury that he suffered in Pittsburgh just a couple of years ago. Max, out of those guys, Foreman, Moore, Chubb, Wills, Winston, amongst many others, who do you see the Browns maybe bringing back?
I do think they bring back Nick Chubb. I think when you look at the running back market now, like Najee Harris didn't even crack $10 million, at least with the base of his contract. Jalen Warren got a tender, it was like a little less than $6 million. Trying to think if there were any other. Javonte Williams got like $3 million. The market is not exploding like we thought, or like a lot of people thought it was. The reality with this running back free agency class and last year's is it was a class above last year. Like the players were just way better. But Nick Chubb has to be back for locker room purposes. He can at least spell out whoever's going to be your main back if he's not your main back. I think everybody in the locker room wants him back. We've seen people reposting stuff, players reposting stuff on their stories about wanting him back. That's a lose the locker room type move if you can't bring him back. And the nice thing for Andrew Berry now is the market or the financials of it are saying you can bring him back for probably less than you thought, unless he's going to get some crazy number elsewhere. Like I think Dallas is another place he could get some money, but I don't know. I find it hard to believe. The one I really want to bring back is Elijah Moore, but I don't think it's going to be there financially.
Max, I think you kind of hit on it with Nick Chubb there too, losing the locker room, and because he's such a leader in that locker room with this team, and really it's like the fabric of the city. Like you feel when you think of Cleveland, you think of Nick Chubb. You know, you think of running the ball down into MFer's face all day long. That's Nick Chubb football. When you're 3-14, you really can't afford to lose much more of the locker room than you already have, especially when you're fighting for your job. So you have to find a way to get that guy back, right?
100%. And again, it's I would be shocked if that didn't come across the table when they were meeting with Myles Garrett. I'm sure that was on his mind too when they were doing all this negotiation. You would lose the locker, like you said, you're 3-14. It's so hard to lose the locker room even more, but that would do it. That would
that would
direction.
end the locker room.
Yes, the locker room would be gone.
Disband the team.
I was a big fan of the Najee Harris signing for the Chargers. $10 million 1 year. Najee Harris isn't what you maybe thought he was going to be when you drafted him in the first round, the Steelers, that is. But a guy who is consistent, 1,000 yards in every single season, hasn't missed a game yet in his career. You talk about running backs, that's rare. I think 68 games, the next running back, not even 61, 62. So that's great, right? The consistency there. And that brings me to J.K. Dobbins, who obviously is a free agent, looked good with the Chargers, got injured late again. And that's the main reason why he's not highly touted is because of the injury history. But when he's healthy, he's damn explosive. And you look at this Browns running back room, Jerome Ford, I think we know what we got in him at this point. It's not fantastic. It's serviceable, RB2 level. Nick Chubb obviously hurt. Deonta Foreman doesn't really do anything, especially what you saw from him last season. I don't know about you guys. I would love J.K. Dobbins to be in brown and orange.
That'd be cool. I just want to draft 2 of them. That's really what I would do, especially now that you've got 12 picks after you got 2 more compensatory picks yesterday after the Kenny Pickett trade went down and added 6th and added 7th. The Browns are going to dominate the 6th round. They've got damn near a third of the entire 6th round. So I would just draft 2 of them. If you can bring back Chubb, that'd be cool. None of these other guys really do anything for me. I saw yesterday, Pittsburgh got Kenny Gainwell, and that was kind of one of the bigger options that was available in the RV market. I was like, yeah, what would that really do? I would just draft one, in the 2nd or 3rd, and then just use one of those million 6th and 7th round picks on another one.
Last time the Browns, I just looked this up to confirm that it was correct. The last time the Browns brought in 2 rookie running backs in one offseason, we had the dynamic, electric, unforgettable duo of the Crow, Isaiah Crowell, and Terrence West. So all I'm asking, it's got to be better than those 2.
All right, well, the Browns aren't the only ones making moves. The AFC North, of course, the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers all trying to improve their squads. We'll talk about what they've done in this free agency when we get back here on The Big Factor. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network, and we are brought to you today, like we are every single day, by our great friends at Fairway Ford. Fairway Ford, Ohio is the biggest Ford truck dealership in the state. They have the largest selection of Ford F-150s and Super Duty trucks, and I promise you they will not be beat on price by any other Ford dealers. Do not let a short drive to Canfield, Ohio prevent you from saving thousands, yes, that's thousands of dollars on your new truck. Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, lowest pricing, and the same hometown level of service. Visit fairwayfordohio.com. That's fairwayfordohio.com. All right,
Ryan,
we talked
I got a text from Fairway this morning, actually.
Wow.
Oh, good news.
Yeah, good news. Very
good
news. He said that they want us to put into all the shows that do the Fairway live reads. And I don't know if this is just a for March thing. I don't really have any details. It was one line that he sent. And he said, "The best deal for sports fans. We will beat any price and deliver anywhere." So
Wow.
Fairway Ford, yeah. Go.
How about the Cleveland Browns learn a lesson from the folks
You're
over at
talking
Fairway
about saving
Ford?
thousands of dollars. They'll match any price, and they'll come to you.
The
to
best
get your
deal for
truck.
sports fans. We will beat any price and deliver anywhere. So go on down to Canfield, save thousands.
I mean, if you want Myles Garrett-esque leverage, that's what it is right there, right? I mean, you could feel like Myles Garrett for a day if you go to Fairway Ford.
One
Nope.
of the first texts I saw when I opened my eyes this morning. I was
Nobody
like,
does
"All
it
right,
like
we'll-
Fairway
we'll,
Ford."
We'll bring that to the airwaves.
Nobody does it like Fairway Ford, and guys, nobody brings back washed receivers like the Baltimore Ravens. We'll start there in the
Love
AFC
it.
North. Before we get to that, they retain offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley, which is huge to protect Lamar's blind side, as well as big boy Patrick Ricard. But the news yesterday, they signed DeAndre Hopkins to a one-year, $6 million deal. A couple years ago, it was OBJ. Then it was just last year, Deontay Johnson. Horrible.
For like a cup of coffee, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't work out there one bit. Talk about a diva, just a receiver. But DeAndre Hopkins going from the Chiefs to Baltimore to sign with a contender, trying to get a ring there with Lamar Jackson. What'd you guys make of that?
I haven't yet ruled out the fact that DeAndre Hopkins might not be washed. I think like he's been in a couple weird fits. Even when he was with Tennessee, like he put up numbers. It was just the Titans were so bad that it didn't really mean anything. And Baltimore just loves to do this. So maybe that when I saw it was Baltimore, I was like, ooh, maybe he is washed. But deep down, I don't think
Des
that
Bryant
he is.
go there too?
Yeah. Yeah, but deep down, I don't want to believe that he is. Like deep down, I think that there's a real receiver still in there somewhere, and obviously not the same guy that he was with Houston, but a guy that could put up a couple 100 yards and 10 touchdowns. I mean, I think Ravens fans would sign up for that right now.
Man, I think Steve Smith also did a very late career stint there, as in terms of wash guys.
I guess it's just what they do. Max, is this scary at all?
No, it doesn't scare me, but I agree, Nick. I don't think he's washed at all. I think when you look at the past two places he's been, there's been offenses that haven't fit who he is at all. Like, I think Tennessee, you had quarterback questions, obviously, but it was the Derrick Henry show. You were keeping it between the tackles, and you never had the consistent volume you had in Arizona or in Houston. Kansas City, you just flip a coin to see which receiver is going to have the best game. It's very, very different. I don't think it's going to be different in Baltimore. Like they don't really throw to true X receivers. That's not really how it goes there. It's the Zay Flowers show, obviously Derrick Henry, but between the hashes, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, guys like that. But I think when you look at it, like if you have a second and goal at the 2-yard line and you're going to go one-on-one with a DeAndre Hopkins and whoever they got across from him, like I'm taking DeAndre Hopkins every single time still. I think he's not washed. He's obviously different than what he was in Houston or Arizona, but he is very much a similar player in the sense that he's still dominant one-on-one. And we saw it in Kansas City last year, the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday night. I don't remember his exact stat line, but he scored 2 touchdowns and he took over the game. Like, that's the type of stuff he can do. I don't know if he can consistently do it, probably not in an offense like Baltimore, but like to say, like I saw the Des Bryant Ravens comparison. That's not him. That is not him. Des Bryant was... I don't know if he retired. He may have retired and come back. Too,
There's a photo somewhere. You guys can look it up. Des Bryant, Cleveland Browns like helmet, and he visited Cleveland like for a free agent meeting. I think this was right after Dallas, and he's like standing in, I don't even know. I think it's like the airport. Like autographing a Cleveland Browns helmet, and everybody was like, Des Bryant to Cleveland.
That was when we had Odell and Jarvis, right? Wasn't he the rumored third receiver?
Yeah, I wonder like where that helmet currently is today, and how much I would need to spend to acquire it.
Doesn't it seem like an absolute lifetime ago, 2 years ago, when we were talking about trying to bring D-Hop to Cleveland
Remember,
to reunite
dude,
with
like,
Deshaun
I got
Watson?
yelled at
Yeah, you did get yelled at.
Yeah,
People did not
yeah.
like that take.
People did not like that at all.
Well,
I was getting big yelled at because like Jordan Schultz was telling us on Big Play Cleveland, like this could happen. Like the Browns are calling. Deshaun Watson has an influence on what's going on. Obviously, this was when we all still had hope for Deshaun Watson, but yeah, I got big time yelled at for pounding the table for that one.
Well, Max, you mentioned DeAndre Hopkins when he was in Tennessee. He's now back with Derrick Henry, in fact, but now in a Baltimore Ravens uniform, going to the Steelers. They signed linebacker Malik Harrison to a 2-year, $10 million deal, but the big news, not for agency, but the trade a couple days ago for DK Metcalf. They then extended him to a 5-year, $150 million deal. DeAndre Hopkins to the Ravens might not scare a lot of people, but I got the feeling a lot of people are a little bit scared, especially for the Browns, going against DK Metcalf twice a year paired with George Pickens. At least for now, paired with George Pickens.
I'm glad you said for now because I think Pickens is gone and whatever. I doubt it's this year, especially if they bring in a Rodgers or Russ where they can compete right now. But down the line, that you just shelled out, I think it was 150 total, basically 5 years, 30 million, whatever it was. All that money for a receiver. You still got to upkeep other guys on your team. Like you can't afford to pay the two receivers like that unless you're the Bengals and want to win games 40-34 every time. But you can't afford to keep George Pickens around consistently. The only rationalization I have with keeping them both is maybe DK Metcalf, who's been in the league for a little bit longer, can help change George Pickens and make him a better player on and off the field. But you think about like the mentor DK Metcalf is, it's not like he's this cool, level-headed personality. We've seen that's actually not the case. So I thought it was a great move, and I think if they can hit a home run with the quarterback position, they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, assuming their defense stays healthy. But yeah, I would be scared for now. For now is the big term.
And you got to think too, like they could still flip if they decide that like, hey, we made this move because Pickens is a head case. We never know what version of him we're gonna get. DK Metcalf's really our guy that we just gave over $100 million to. Like they could still flip George Pickens. Somewhere will take him, despite all of the memes and fist fights that he gets into. Like someone will still take George Pickens. So the Steelers could come out and if we know anything about how they do business, will come out just all right from that because they just find a way to win all these little moves.
Well, the question is, who's going to throw the ball to George Pickens and DK Metcalf? I mentioned the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers, it seems maybe less likely now. Max, you're kind of out on Pittsburgh thinking they're not going to get Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. It's so weird because they are, like, if you would have asked me this time yesterday, I would have said, yeah, absolutely, Pittsburgh. Then the Giants signed Javon Holland.
Great signing.
Very good signing. I'm a fan. They actually basically traded Xavier McKinney for him in a compensatory third-round pick, I believe. So, I saw all the comparisons paying Javon Holland and not paying Xavier McKinney. It worked out in that sense. Didn't work out with Saquon Barkley, obviously. But the Giants made good moves, and people are kind of more talking positively about the Giants, and maybe that's influencing Aaron Rodgers, but the reality is it's Malik Neighbors. It's the fact that the receiver core is back. Offensive line, when healthy, was actually pretty good last year. I think Aaron Rodgers just sees what there is in New York. I still think he's more likely to go to Pittsburgh because for him, you got a year or two left. If you want to go win, you're going to go there. And it's not like you're signing up to mentor J.J. McCarthy or for a fact that the Giants are going to take a quarterback or the Browns are going to take a quarterback that you have to mentor. No, he's just going to go there to win. I do think there's a scenario I tweeted out yesterday. We talked about it very briefly before. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is driving the price up for the Pittsburgh Steelers, saying like, I don't know. I kind of like the Giants. I really want to go to the Giants. They got some good options too. Maybe he's driving the price up using that. Maybe Pittsburgh is like, all right, this is stupid. Let's just sign Russ. We don't know what the deal is with Aaron Rodgers. They bring Russ in, then Aaron Rodgers is faced with the hard reality. Oh, do I really want to go to the Giants? I do think there's a world he retires if that happens.
Yeah, I agree with
Jeopardy.
That. Yeah, go ahead and go host Jeopardy. Yeah.
No. I refuse to let Aaron Rodgers ruin the greatest show of all time. I'm not going from Alex Trebek to Ken Jennings to Aaron Rodgers. I refuse to let it happen.
I'll stand with Brian.
I'll do whatever I have to do to make that not happen.
I'll stand with Brian. As a lifelong Jeopardy fan, I'll stand with Brian on that.
It can't happen.
Yeah, I think Rodgers to Pittsburgh, I've said kind of all along, was the one that made the most sense. I think the one thing that maybe could piss them off is I really just have this recurring nightmare that the Steelers are going to draft Jackson Dart. They're at the, in the 20s, the back end of the first round. That might make him mad. I think that would be perfect for Pittsburgh, though. Like, you get Aaron Rodgers so you could win now. Jackson Dart's only, 21, I think. So, like, who better to learn from than Rodgers? Maybe not off the field, but certainly on it, especially with the big arm. And there's some comparisons to be made there. So I'm going to keep saying Pittsburgh is the team that makes the most sense. I feel like I was one of the first people on it, and I'm going to keep it going.
Well, 3.5 hours from Cleveland, the Cincinnati Bengals reuniting with some players and making some moves. They bring back B.J. Hill, D-tackle, a 3-year, $33 billion deal, as well as running back Samaje Perine to a 2-year deal. They signed D-tackle T.J. Slayton to a 2-year deal, as well as linebacker Oren Burks to a 2-year deal from the Eagles. I thought that was a good signing. They need to make moves because they're likely losing Trey Hendrickson. What are they going to do with T. Higgins? What are they going to do with Jamar Chase? I can't believe you haven't paid the man yet. The price goes up and up. He posted on his Instagram story, know your worth, and then add tax. Okay, you just saw the deal Myles Garrett got. Well, Jamar Chase wants to be the highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history, and he's got the case to do it. I don't know what the Bengals are going to do, but they got a lot of moves to make. And if Trey Hendrickson goes to the Chiefs, guys, Cincinnati Bengals fans are going to have a conniption.
I feel like Duke Tobin just goes into a coma for a couple of weeks when free agency starts, and he might have or maybe he overslept an alarm. Went up. Oh, what's going on? What I miss? Oh shit! Time to get going. Yeah, no.
Oh, Samaje Perine. I know that
guy.
Oh,
yeah. You. I remember you. You were here. You were. I saw you hug Mahomes or something like that on the sidelines. Yeah. Come back now. Duke is cooking.
I am so fascinated by them just delaying the inevitable. They're gonna pay at least one of the receivers. I still think they're gonna pay both. I still think they're gonna pay both receivers. But like you said, right, the price goes up every single day, every day, whether it's the receiver market with guys like DK Metcalf, Khalil Shakir got a bigger deal. Obviously, he's not that tier, but receivers are signing big deals. You saw Devontae Adams get signed. Like, that's going up. The highest paid non-quarterback thing, which Jamar Chase has outwardly said he wants to be, that's going up with Myles Garrett now. Micah Parsons could get an extension this week for all we know. Probably would be more than Myles Garrett. Like, I don't know what they're waiting for. It's insane. I follow a bunch of Bengals people on Twitter, and they are all up in arms about this because they know what they have to do, and like they're going to do it. I still think they're going to do it. They're going to bite the bullet eventually, but they're just making it more expensive for themselves. They're just procrastinating.
Yeah. And I think now that the Myles thing is done, now Jamar could wait a little bit. Now it's like, hey, now that Myles Garrett contract of $40 million a year, that's the new floor. That's where we're starting the discussion.
The floor, that's crazy.
And when you guys wake up and feel like doing what I'm worth plus tax or whatever he posted on his Instagram story, then I'm ready for a conversation. Till then, I'm going to hang out, enjoy my offseason. You guys could stress about trying to fill out the rest of free agency while knowing that you have to pay me, and that's where the conversation needs to start. So I think now Jamar has probably even more leverage than ever, and he doesn't need to be in a rush to sign this thing. Like, he could now be the guy that's slow plays this a tad.
Wasn't Jamar Chase also? I'm pretty sure it was him who said whenever Justin Jefferson gets his extension, like, I want to make a penny more than that.
Yeah.
Like, he's very much competitive. Like, I want to be the highest paid for however long it would be, because somebody would inevitably get a big extension after that. But he wants his money. He wants his money. I wonder what happens if they pay him before T. Higgins, though, because I think Higgins could see that and feel even more uneasy about his future in Cincinnati and request a trade. Because I find it really hard to believe he'll play 2 years in a row on the franchise tag.
Jamar Chase was a top 5 receiver the second he stepped on the NFL field for the Cincinnati Bengals. You could have paid him 2 years ago. You could have paid him last year. What did you do? You waited and you went out and got the Triple Crown. The price is going up and up for the Bengals. They got to just do it, guys. You know it's the inevitable. You're not going to win without Jamar Chase. You need Joe Burrow to have somebody to throw to.
He's the only reason, like, when they had, like, the graphic that goes up, you know, around week 15, 16 of every NFL season where it shows the playoff picture and the playoff forecast, where the Bengals logo was, where it says in the hunt, they should have just put Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase's heads, because that's the only reason why they even were that last year. Why they were only in the hunt for most of the season was because of Burrow and Chase. Like, that defense was horrible. T. Higgins was injured on and again, off again. Like, that's the only reason why you guys were able to do what you did last year. Bring him back.
And the craziest part about all this is you obviously have to pay Jamar Chase, but you look at the value that T. Higgins adds as well, not only just his play, but you can't guard both of them. You can't double both of them. Right. And you go back to the last week of the regular season of just last year. I know the Cincinnati Bengals didn't make the playoffs, but they beat the Broncos like they needed to have the chance to get in. Yep. And what was that game? Yeah, T. Higgins had 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Absolutely crazy. All right, we got to take another break. When we get back, we're handing out superlatives, NFL free agency winners. We'll do that and more when we get back here on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan, Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone, and our guy Max Loeb, recurring guest here on the Big Factor. We're flipping it over. We talked about the Browns. We talked about the AFC North. Well, now we're going to look at the whole NFL, give out our NFL free agency winners in terms of teams. Max, you're our guest today. I'll let you start. Who is the biggest NFL free agency winner?
Minnesota Vikings. And it's close. I don't want to say it's not close, but I didn't have to think twice about it. This is a team that is feeding into their Super Bowl window on a team with a quarterback with a rookie contract. I know J.J. McCarthy has not played a regular season game yet, but the dialogue we had with Sam Darnold going into last year is going to be pretty similar to what we have with J.J. McCarthy this year, outside of Sam Darnold's history in the NFL just not being great, where J.J. McCarthy doesn't have a history in the NFL. He is, I think, better than Sam Darnold, could have a better year than Sam Darnold. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm confident in that, but he could. And now you all of a sudden have a team with Will Fries along the offensive line, Ryan Kelly along the offensive line, already have Christian Darrisaw. Your offensive line is very good. You're bringing back Aaron Jones, who was solid last year. I don't think they're done at the running back position either. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, J.J. Naylor. Your offense is very good. And then the issue, quote-unquote, there was no issue with that defense last year, but the issue, the weaker part, was your interior defensive line. All of a sudden, Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, right in the middle, plugging everything up, adding onto one of the best run defenses in the NFL. They only really lost Cam Bynum. They brought Byron Murphy back, and Cam Bynum's a good player. But if you hit on a safety in the draft, or you have guys that are coming up underneath that you feel really confident about, your defense is going to be good. They have, who I think was the best head coach in the NFL last year, one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. To me, this is honestly, I don't think it's crazy to say it's the best team in the NFC. I think they're as good as Philly. I think they're as good as LA. I think they're as good as the Lions, the Commanders. I think this literally is one of the best teams in the NFL.
Dan Graziano earlier today said there's a non-zero chance that the Vikings go for Aaron Rodgers. You look at the team, like you said, built to win now. I agree, one of the best off seasons thus far, especially with free agency. Do you consider bringing in a guy with Aaron Rodgers who you might have a better chance to win right now with Aaron Rodgers than J.J. McCarthy getting his first real NFL action? Or is it finally time to pass the sticks to J.J. McCarthy and see what you have here on his second year on his rookie deal? It's an interesting debate because is Aaron Rodgers really that good to win now? Would it be an upgrade from Sam Darnold? Your guys' thoughts?
I think it's at what cost, because it comes at how much do you look at J.J. McCarthy truly as the future of your franchise. I believe they took him top 15, right?
He's top 10.
Not top 10.
He is the future.
Yeah, it's so hard to Jordan Love the kid and sit him another year, when he was, especially when you take a guy as high as you do, because then you start to look into, well, if we are this close to being Super Bowl contenders and we had that high pick and we could have used it and gone out and filled X need instead. I don't know. It's really, really tough because, it's a catch-22. Do you trust Aaron Rodgers, who had more passing yards than Josh Allen by damn near 1,000 or something crazy like that last year? Yeah, you very well could. He played great football last year. But at the same time, you did draft this kid really high. Can you sit him? Because then if you're coming off an injury and then sitting, what's going to happen to JJ in year 3? And then, hell, if Aaron Rodgers is well again, what are you going to do? Sit him year 3? No.
You could have the same issue you had again with Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I'm with you. They can't lean into another veteran. And you said it perfectly, Jack. The fact that they are kind of weighing their options and saying if we bring in a Sam Darnold or an Aaron Rodgers, we can't bring in a Jonathan Allen or a Will Fries or somebody like that. They're weighing that out and realizing, we got this quarterback. I don't know what rookie quarterback contracts are like, but significantly less than anything they could sign. We got this guy who Kevin O'Connell loves, first of all. He loves him. Who is in a system that already propped up another guy to get a $100 million contract this offseason. To me, it's almost a no-brainer that you run it back with J.J. McCarthy. I think, what did you say, Ryan, a non-zero chance that Aaron Rodgers goes there? Yes, there's a small chance because he is, right now, week 1, probably better than J.J. McCarthy. Week 8, I am not convinced. J.J. McCarthy could be better.
You can also, who's to say if they start out 3-5, but they're not dead in the water out of it, and JJ's playing just awful football. They don't want to get rid of him, though. They could go on and do something then, right?
Sure.
Trade deadline. It's not I know it's not common to have a starting QB move at the trade deadline, but if you're desperate and you do think your roster's that close, why not?
Yeah.
It's interesting because you always want to put out the best product for the chance to go win a Super Bowl, of course, especially if you're as built as the Vikings. But at what point does it end? Because let's say you go to the NFC Championship with Aaron Rodgers, you fall out there. Well, then you're back in that same position. Do we bring back a 40-plus-year-old who was good, or are we really going to sit a guy 3 years in a row? I think you go with J.J. McCarthy and see what you have in the young kid. Nick, your free agency winner for 2025.
Yeah, my free agency winner, Washington Commanders. And I honestly made this similar to the Minnesota Vikings because I think when you have a rookie quarterback that showed you so much promise last year, you have to do whatever you can to surround him with the most amount of talent right now. Like we saw Russell Wilson win a Super Bowl on his rookie deal. We saw Patrick Mahomes just recently, more recently, I should say, win one on his rookie deal. Jaden Daniels, it's all right here for you. We're talking about the NFC being open. Adding Deebo Samuel, I don't know. He might be a little bit washed, but how about the fleece of a trade they did with the Houston Texans to get Laremy Tunsil? Like that's a mainstay top 3 offensive tackle in football that is going to be there 17 games protecting Jaden Daniels' blindside. That was a great move. It's crazy that their 2 biggest free agency moves or legal tampering moves are trades, but so far they're my legal tampering winners because I think they're setting themselves up now to make sure that what happened last year wasn't just like a fun story where they overachieved expectations and now we go back to just pedaling around in the middle. Like I think now they're trying to tell themselves, their locker room, and the rest of the league, like, no, we're here to stay. We're gonna add all these vets. We're gonna protect Jaden Daniels. Like we're trying to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, you lose Jonathan Allen, but you literally just bring in Kinlaw. So yeah, I agree. Great, and Deebo
and new ownership will do that, right? Like just encourage everyone to be aggressive. Let's go win now. Like I think Washington's done an impeccable job ever since that new ownership has taken over.
All right, Max goes Minnesota, Nick goes Washington. Jack, your 2025 free agency winner.
I mean, someone's got to go to the AFC, right? How about the Buffalo Bills? I mean, it's an A+. The Josh Allen's back. The MVP just re-signed. So, hey, check mark. That's a good offseason. But building even further off that, I saw they went out and got like a okay running back. That's whatever. But Joshua Palmer is a move I love for them, I think. And I don't totally understand the NFL value market. To my knowledge, it might have been a slight overpay, but he's a guy who was
Darius Slayton got $33 million. So
what?
Darius Slayton got $33 million from the Giants. So it is overblown. So you're right to your point.
Oh, yeah, but whatever. Regardless, with Joshua Palmer, he's a guy who has a great release. Like, that's kind of thing he's known for in the NFL. And when you're a team who's struggled on 3rd and short, 4th and short, like, it's good to have a guy who can get off the ball a little bit, especially because we kind of saw whatever the hell they were trying to do with the tush push in the playoffs last year. That wasn't working. Defensive side of the ball, adding Joey Bosa for like $12 million. Like, that's a freaking steal. I know he's had injury issues in the past, but I believe he only missed 3 games last year. And that's in general the Bills' defensive concern is just staying healthy. But if you can't go out and shore up that secondary, who I think has some issues, the best way to help is probably going to be going out to get Joey Bosa and Larry Ogunjobi to complement Ed Oliver and those guys down low. So you can just make sure that if you don't have a great secondary, it's going to be real hard for them to get the ball out fast enough and they can stay in coverage. So I like what they've done so far this offseason. And then, of course, I mean, everyone loves DeMar up in Buffalo. You got to bring 3 back. He was definitely a meme for some time, but he played some good football last year, which I think some people still won't admit with DeMar Hamlin. So, hey, give me the Bills, baby. You're slowly closing that gap to 15.
Best of luck to old friend Larry Ogunjobi. I'm going back to the NFC. My free agency winner is the Chicago Bears. The biggest thing you needed to address this offseason was your offensive line to protect your young star and Caleb Williams. Talk about fixing the interior. Guys, you went out and traded for Joe Thuney from the Chiefs. You went out and got Jonah Jackson. Your guards position are solidified. You got Drew Dalman to solidify the center position. Caleb Williams sacked 68 times last season, 3rd most in NFL history. I don't care how good you are. I don't care if you're a generational talent. You're not going to win many games or complete many passes if you're on your ass every other play. Huge upgrade for the Chicago Bears. You go get Grady Jarrett, the D tackle from Atlanta. Ben Johnson identified the holes in the Bears. He fixed them pretty quickly. Free agency isn't done for there. The defense wasn't really much of the issue. You got young stars there. Ben Johnson in a division of the NFC North. You got the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions, all made the playoffs last season. I thought a great additions for the Chicago Bears, and Caleb Williams in his second year, I think is going to really have a rebound. All right, we got to take one more break. When we get back, we're talking about the Cavs. We're flipping it over to basketball. They are the Central Division champions with their win over the Brooklyn Nets. It's been quite a while since they won the Central Division without a guy named LeBron James. We'll talk about that and more when we get back here on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Big Factor on the Big Play Sports Network. We're flipping it over from football to basketball, talking about our Cleveland Cavaliers, guys. The Cavs win over Brooklyn 109-104 last night means they clinched the top spot in the Central Division. 8th time they've done this in franchise history. Guys, this is the first time they clinched the division without LeBron James since, am I reading this right? 1975-76 season. I'm not good at math. What is that? 50 years without winning the Central Division without LeBron James. This Cavaliers season has been absolutely historic. They're killing everybody. 13, 14 game win streak now. 3 of the 4 longest win streaks this season. You won last night without Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland carrying the load. I can't say enough about this Cavs team, guys, how awesome this regular season has been. And you top it off right now with winning the Central Division.
I mean, Cleveland is the city of champions once again. I mean, this is what you look forward to. It's been a long time. But I don't know. I don't think the Cavs put too much stock into this one. Obviously, it's cool to do it for the first time without LeBron since probably the Eisenhower administration, it sounded like. So that's definitely a cool thing to add in. But at the end of the day, I wish our good friend, the mayor, Rafa Hernandez Rito, is here, because when he talks about that Warriors team, 73-9 don't mean a thing without the ring, right? I mean, no one cares if you won the Central Division. We're not going to remember if we won the Central Division by this time next year. Go out and get it done when it matters most, folks.
Quick correction. It was the Gerald Ford administration.
Oh, was it Gerald Ford?
It was Gerald
Ford. Good for him. Uncle Jerry.
Yeah, man. I mean, this team's special. Keep your calendars open in June. You know, when the Cavs won the championship in the 2016 season, I actually had, my family had a vacation booked, and we left that same night of Game 7. We had 4 a.m. leave time to go to the airport. So keep your Junes open. That's really the only advice that I have, because right now, Boston is still Boston. I think the East is going to run through Cleveland because the Cavs are going to lock up this number 1 seed. You're going to have to come to Cleveland for an Eastern Conference Finals, which would be amazing. But we're nearing that point where anything less than an Eastern Conference Finals in a competitive series against the Boston Celtics would feel like a massive letdown. The one thing that's going to continue to surround this Cavs team until it doesn't is that you cannot be the 2015 Atlanta Hawks. You can't be, wiped out of the playoffs early before this thing even starts. Otherwise, the memes are going to be out of control. The trolls are going to be out and about. Cavs got to still, keep their foot on the gas a little bit. Let's wrap up this number 1 seed in the East. Get everybody healthy and ready to go for playoffs. And
Nick, we do
keep that calendar open in June. Don't be like me.
People forget, though, we got an op in the room right now.
Yeah,
we got a guy who bleeds green.
You do.
How big is the Central Division championship for the Cleveland Cavaliers from the Boston Celtics perspective?
Well,
how does it affect LeBron's legacy?
Well, what I was going to say is I wish division championships meant more in basketball.
They should. Yeah.
I don't know what they could do. It
used to be the top 3 seeds were the division winners, right? And then they got rid of that.
Yeah, and if there's I don't know how the NBA schedule works, but if there's correlation, you're playing the teams in your division more, which I'm pretty sure you are. There should be something like that, but I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, the 73-9 Warriors, all these teams, anybody in the regular season, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're going to play. You could play somebody who's won 45 games in the regular season, and with the Eastern Conference this year, the bottoming out of that conference is going to be a team like that. But if they match up perfectly against you, they could take you to 6-7 games, get lucky, and beat you. That's the reality. And playing teams 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row is way different than night to night. I do still think the Cavs are the best team in the NBA right now, but Nick, like you said, Boston is Boston. I think the Lakers are really good. I think the Lakers are piecing it together, and they have 2 of the 5 or 10 best players on the planet right now. They're piecing it together. Obviously, OKC. There's a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference. I do genuinely think it's Boston and Cleveland.
It would be so good for Adam Silver, too, because they're either getting LeBron versus Cleveland or Lakers versus Celtics in the finals. Yeah. I mean, there's no bad answer if the Lakers are good.
Or OKC versus Cleveland.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the Central Division, if you didn't know, and that included me when I woke up this morning, it's the Cavaliers, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Bucks, and the Pacers. Did you guys see Tyrese Haliburton shot last night? 4-point play.
It's crazy.
Down 3 in the corner, and then hits the free throw to win it. That was a crazy ending. All right, we got to head out of here. Before we do we see the Aaron Rodgers? Does he have a team by tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Come on, the decision. Today's the day.
What are we feeling? Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
All right. Huge shout out to Max for joining us. Go follow him and all his stuff at Loeb's Leads on X and Instagram. I'm Ryan Tyler. He's Jack O'Rourke. He's Nick Padone. We'll be back tomorrow. Same people, same time. Huge thank you to Garage Beer. Huge thank you to Fairway Ford. And thanks for watching The Big Factor.